Welcome to Thought Frontier.
Welcome back, deep divers. Today, we're going beyond your phone or your electric car and plugging into the world of energy storage that could, power a whole city.
Exactly.
So we've got a stack of research papers
Of course.
and even a news story about a record-breaking solar plus storage facility
Oh, wow.
out in the Mojave Desert.
Oh.
And we're going to untangle how these massive batteries are changing the way we power our world.
Absolutely.
Get ready to learn how batteries keep the lights on even when the sun isn't shining. We'll uncover the history of sodium-sulfur batteries.
Interesting.
And explore what's next after batteries.
Yeah.
Kick those gas-fired peaker plants to the curb.
So let's start with the basics.
Okay.
Why do we even need large-scale energy storage?
Right. It seems simple. You flip a switch, the lights come on.
You would think.
But I'm guessing it's a lot more complicated?
It is. It is.
Isn't that, huh?
Our electric grid needs balance.
Okay.
A constant balance between supply and demand.
Right.
And when we bring renewable energy into the picture, things get a lot more complex.
So, with solar and wind power,
Exactly.
it's not like we can just, tell the sun to shine brighter when everyone's running their AC, right?
Exactly. That's the challenge, right?
Yeah.
How do we make sure the lights stay on when the sun sets or the wind stops blowing?
Okay, so that's where
energy storage comes in.
Energy storage comes in.
Yeah.
So it's a giant savings account for energy.
Yeah, it's a great analogy. We can store up that excess energy when the sun's blazing or the wind's going strong and then release it when demand spikes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But to do that on a large scale, what are our options?
So there are a few contenders out there.
Okay.
Pumped hydro,
Okay.
where water is pumped uphill to store energy and released downhill to generate electricity.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
It's been around for a while.
Okay.
Then there's compressed air, which is literally squeezing air into underground caverns to store energy.
Squeezing air into the earth.
Yeah, pretty wild.
Wow, that's crazy.
And then there are flywheels,
giant
spinning devices that store energy mechanically.
Okay.
But for today's deep dive, we're focusing on batteries.
Okay.
The rising stars of energy storage.
Right, batteries. They're powering everything these days.
And not just your phone.
So when we talk about grid-scale batteries,
Yes.
what kind of batteries are we talking about?
So there's a whole range.
Okay.
First up, we've got lithium-ion batteries. What's in your phone but supersized.
Okay.
Then there's the trusty lead-acid batteries. They're like the veterans of the battery world.
Okay.
Been around forever.
Reliable.
Very reliable.
Okay.
You can deliver those high bursts of power when you need it, but they don't store as much energy.
Gotcha.
And we're also seeing sodium-sulfur batteries and vanadium redox flow batteries.
Wait, sodium-sulfur?
Yeah.
Didn't those have something to do with electric vehicles?
You're right. Back in the 70s, there was a lot of buzz about sodium-sulfur batteries for EVs.
Okay.
They packed a lot of energy.
Okay.
But there was a catch.
What was that?
They operate at super high temperatures.
Okay.
Like 300 to 350 degrees Celsius.
Whoa. That's way too hot.
Yeah, a little too toasty for your garage.
Yeah, no thanks.
But they found a niche in grid-scale applications,
Okay.
especially in Japan,
Interesting.
where they're used to smooth out demand peaks and keep the grid humming along.
So they're like the heavy-duty workhorses of the battery world.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to lithium-ion. They seem to be dominating
They are.
the grid-scale battery scene.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
Well, they have a few advantages.
Okay.
First, their energy density.
Okay.
They pack a punch in a small package.
Okay.
And that's crucial when you're talking about storing massive amounts of energy.
Right. Space is always an issue.
Always.
Okay. What else?
They're pretty low maintenance compared to other battery types.
Less maintenance. That's always a plus.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
But perhaps the biggest factor is cost.
Okay.
Lithium-ion battery prices have been dropping steadily, making them more and more competitive.
So it's the economics of it all.
It plays a big role.
Okay, but lithium-ion batteries, aren't they known for, safety concerns?
You're right. Safety is a big one.
I mean, we've all heard those stories about phones and laptops catching fire.
Exactly.
Imagine that happening at a grid-scale facility.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't sound good.
No, it's definitely a concern.
So what causes these fires?
It often boils down to something called thermal runaway.
Oh.
Basically, a battery cell overheats. And that triggers a chain reaction that can spread to other cells.
Like a domino effect.
Exactly. but with a lot more heat.
Right, very dangerous.
Yeah. So researchers are working hard to improve battery safety.
Okay, how are they doing that?
They're developing better battery management systems.
Okay.
They can spot and isolate faulty cells before they cause trouble.
So like an early warning system?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, what else?
They're also working on more stable electrolytes,
Okay.
chemical medium that allows ions to flow within the battery.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, improved cooling systems are key.
Okay, so they're really trying to prevent those
Right.
battery meltdowns.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about batteries storing energy.
Yeah.
But what does that actually mean for the electric grid?
So imagine a hot summer day.
Okay.
Everyone gets home from work, cranks up their AC,
Yeah.
and boom,
Big spike in demand.
huge spike in demand.
Yeah.
That puts a lot of stress on the grid.
Okay.
But a battery system
Yeah.
can instantly discharge stored energy to smooth out that peak and prevent blackouts.
So it's like having a giant
It is.
backup generator.
Yeah,
But much cleaner.
much cleaner.
Okay.
But grid services go way beyond just meeting peak demand.
Okay.
Batteries can also help regulate the frequency of electricity.
Frequency.
Yes, the electricity flowing through the grid
Okay.
has to maintain a very specific frequency.
Okay.
In the U.S., that's 60 hertz.
Right.
Think of it as the heartbeat of the grid.
Okay.
If the frequency deviates too much,
Yeah.
it can cause all sorts of problems.
Okay.
Flickering lights, equipment damage,
Okay.
even blackouts.
Right.
Batteries can step in to adjust the flow of electricity
Okay.
and keep that frequency stable.
So they're like the grid's pacemaker.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay, cool.
They also provide something called spinning reserve.
Okay.
Imagine a large power plant suddenly trips offline.
Oh.
That's a lot of electricity gone in an instant.
Yeah, sounds bad.
Spinning reserve is essentially having backup generators ready to go.
Okay.
Traditionally, this was done with conventional power plants, but batteries can react even faster.
So batteries are like the
First
responders of the power grid.
Precisely.
Okay.
Ready to jump in and keep things stable.
Gotcha.
And there are real-world examples of this in action.
Oh, really? Like what?
Take the PacifiCorp VRB project in Utah.
Okay.
They're using a vanadium redox flow battery to stabilize voltage.
VRB.
Vanadium redox flow battery.
Okay.
They're great for longer duration storage.
Okay.
You can scale them up easily.
And how did this VRB project help?
It allowed them to avoid building a new transmission line.
Wow.
Instead, they installed a battery system
Okay.
to provide voltage support.
Okay, so batteries aren't just about storing energy.
Right.
They're about making the whole grid more efficient.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But there's another layer to this story.
Oh.
It's not just about adding more batteries as we add more renewables.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
It all comes down to this concept of inertia in the power grid.
Inertia. Okay, now I'm really curious.
Think of it like a spinning top.
Okay.
It takes effort to slow it down or speed it up, right?
Yeah, I remember that from physics class.
Exactly.
But how does a spinning top relate to the power grid?
Well, traditional power plants with their big spinning generators,
Yeah.
they provide a lot of inertia to the grid.
Okay.
This inertia helps maintain stability
Okay.
and resist sudden changes in frequency.
Wait, frequency again?
Yeah, it's a crucial concept.
Okay.
Remember, the grid needs to maintain a specific frequency.
Right, 60 hertz.
Exactly.
Okay.
The inertia from those spinning generators
Yeah.
helps keep the frequency stable,
Gotcha.
like a giant flywheel smoothing out any bumps in the road.
Okay, that makes sense.
Uh,
So what happens when we replace those big spinning generators
Yeah.
with solar and wind power?
That's the concern.
Yeah.
As we add more and more solar and wind,
Yeah,
which don't spin,
right.
we reduce the overall inertia in the system.
So it's like we're taking away that flywheel,
Exactly.
making the grid more susceptible to those frequency bumps.
Right.
Okay, so are we headed for a grid scale wobble as we add more renewables?
Not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
While it's true that solar and wind don't have that inherent mechanical inertia, they have a trick up your sleeve.
What's that?
It's called fast frequency response.
Fast frequency response. That sounds promising.
It is.
How does that work?
It comes down to the power electronics
Oh.
within those inverters.
Okay.
They can detect tiny frequency deviations in the grid and respond almost instantaneously.
Whoa, that's fast.
Very fast.
So instead of relying on those big, heavy spinning generators,
Yeah.
we're using lightning-fast electronics to maintain balance.
That's a great analogy.
Okay.
We're moving from a mechanical grid to an electronic grid.
That's fascinating.
It is.
And how much faster is this?
Oh, it can be many times faster,
Wow.
meaning we might not need as much inertia as we thought.
That's good news.
Yeah, it is.
So are there grids out there that
Yeah.
are already doing this successfully?
One standout example is the Texas grid,
Okay.
operated by ERCOT.
Okay.
They have a ton of wind power.
Oh, wow.
So they've been dealing with low inertia for a while now.
So wouldn't all that wind power make their grid unstable?
You would think so?
Yeah.
But they've found some clever solutions.
Okay, like what?
They've figured out how to leverage demand response.
Demand response.
Basically, they work with large energy users,
Okay.
like industrial facilities, to reduce their consumption when needed.
So they're enlisting the help of factories and businesses
It's a collaborative effort.
to keep the lights on.
Exactly.
That's pretty amazing.
It is.
So it seems like batteries are just one piece of the puzzle
They are.
when it comes to building a renewable powered grid.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as we look ahead, we need to think about longer duration storage.
Longer duration.
Yeah, most of what we've talked about so far
Yeah.
is short duration storage,
Okay.
up to about 4 hours.
Okay.
But as we add more and more renewables,
Mm-hmm.
we'll need to store energy for much longer periods,
Okay.
think days or even weeks.
Oh, wow. So we're not just talking about covering those short-term dips in solar and wind.
No.
We're talking about storing enough energy to power things.
Exactly.
When the sun isn't shining for days.
Yes.
Or the wind isn't blowing for weeks.
That's the goal.
Wow, that's a whole other challenge.
It is.
So what are our options for this energy storage marathon?
Well, pumped hydro,
Okay.
it's still a strong contender,
Okay.
but it's geographically limited.
Right.
We also have compressed air energy storage,
Mm-hmm.
but again, not suitable for every location.
Okay, what about batteries?
Batteries are definitely in the running.
Okay.
Flow
Yeah.
batteries, like
Yeah.
those vanadium redox flow batteries we talked about.
Sure.
They're well suited for longer durations
Okay.
because their energy capacity depends on the size of their tanks.
So bigger tanks, more storage.
It's that simple.
Okay.
And there's a lot of research into new battery chemistries,
Okay.
specifically for long duration, low cost storage.
Any promising contenders out there?
One interesting company is Form Energy.
Okay.
They're developing a battery using iron and air.
Iron and air. That sounds pretty basic.
It does, right?
Yeah.
But they're aiming for super low cost
Okay.
and the ability to store energy for days.
That would be amazing.
It would be a game changer.
Wow.
And it's not just about new battery chemistries.
Okay.
There's also a lot of work being done on grid-forming inverters.
Grid-forming inverters.
Yes.
Didn't we talk about grid-following inverters earlier?
We did. Grid-following inverters,
Yeah.
they just sync up with the existing grid frequency.
Okay.
But grids-forming inverters,
Yeah.
they can actually create the reference frequency themselves.
So they're not just followers, they can be leaders.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's a fundamental shift in how the grid operates.
This is getting really complex,
It is.
but fascinating.
Yes.
To see how far we've come,
Yeah.
let's take a look at a real-world example.
Okay.
The Edward Sanborn Solar Plus Storage Project in the Mojave Desert.
Yes, that's a great one.
This project is just mind-blowing.
It is impressive.
So the Edward Sanborn Project,
Yeah.
this is a prime example of solar and battery storage
Absolutely.
working together on a massive scale.
It's the highest capacity solar farm in the U.S.,
Wow.
paired with the world's largest battery storage system.
Those are some serious stats.
They are.
Can you paint a picture of this project for us?
Imagine a sea of solar panels,
Okay.
nearly 2 million of them.
Wow, 2 million.
Yeah, stretching across the Mojave Desert.
That's incredible.
That's the Edward Sanborn Solar Farm.
Okay.
And nestled amongst those panels
Yeah.
is a massive battery system
Okay.
with a capacity of 3,300 megawatt hours.
Okay, now my brain is struggling to grasp the scale of this.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely massive.
So what does this battery system actually do?
Its main job is to smooth out the ups and downs of solar power.
Okay.
When the sun sets,
Yeah.
the solar panels produce less energy.
Right.
That's when the batteries kick in,
Okay.
discharging their stored energy
Okay.
to keep the electricity flowing.
So it's like a giant buffer,
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
keeping the lights on even when the sun goes down.
Exactly.
Wow, the Edward Sanborn project.
Yeah.
It's really showcasing the power of solar and storage
It is.
working hand in hand.
It's a glimpse into the future
Yeah, it
of
will
clean, reliable energy.
amaze.
It is pretty remarkable.
Yeah.
It's a really fascinating project.
Yeah, and I think it just shows how far we've come
Absolutely.
in terms of renewable energy and energy storage.
Yeah, it's inspiring.
Yeah. So after diving deep into the world of energy storage,
Yeah.
what's the key takeaway for our listeners?
Well, I think the main thing to remember
Mm-hmm.
is that the future of energy storage
Yeah.
It's not just about the technology itself.
Okay, so we need to think bigger.
Exactly.
What else should we be considering?
We need to consider the whole process.
Okay.
From sourcing those raw materials to manufacturing and even disposal.
Right, so it's about sustainability beyond just the energy itself.
Absolute batteries.
Yeah.
They require a lot of resources, lithium, cobalt, nickel. And as we scale up production, we need to make sure those materials are sourced responsibly and ethically.
So we're talking about avoiding those environmental and human rights issues that can sometimes be associated with mining.
We need to make sure that the transition to clean energy doesn't come at the expense of people and the planet.
That's a really important point.
It is.
It's a good reminder that all our choices have an impact.
They do.
And as consumers, we have a responsibility to demand transparency from companies.
Absolutely.
And support those that are prioritizing ethical and sustainable practices.
I completely agree. We need to advocate for responsible sourcing and support innovation in battery recycling and reuse.
It's a team effort to build a truly sustainable energy future.
It is. We're all in this together.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the world of energy storage.
It's been a fascinating journey.
It has. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
And until next time, stay curious, deep divers.
Yeah.